world is changing, Jamaica's position in the world is changing, and the role of the United Nations in supporting Jamaica's development efforts is changing too. At the global level, what is changing, as you will have noticed, is much greater consensus as to what constitutes development. The Sustainable Development Agenda for 2030, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, provide a degree of consensus on development priorities that the world has never known. Jamaica has subscribed fully to this agenda. It is now up to the United Nations and other partners of Jamaica to organize themselves and support Jamaica's efforts to reach the goals. The other change on the global stage, of course, is the whole aid architecture and the structure of aid funding. It is not only that the budgets for aid across the planet have taken a hit with the 7 or 8-year-old economic crisis across Western countries. It is also that the multiplication of humanitarian and other emergencies across the globe have diverted some of that shrinking aid pot towards perceived higher level priorities. The result, particularly in countries like Jamaica and countries of the Caribbean more broadly, that are middle income, is a shrinking pot of aid money. On the other hand, the Caribbean itself, and Jamaica in particular, have changed markedly in recent years. Probably not as much as we would wish, and probably not as fast as we would wish, but let's admit that the Caribbean remains a region of remarkable political stability and social and economic progress. The good side is indeed better living conditions for people across the Caribbean. The downside is a perception by the rest of the world that this region doesn't really need support anymore, and a greater difficulty for United Nations agencies, funds and programs to mobilize resources to support Jamaica. And then the UN itself is changing, as we are also drawn to refocus our attention and resources to least developed countries and to humanitarian and other emergencies. Our architecture in the Caribbean has become thinner and more spread out. UN Women is a good illustration of this, with one office based in Barbados and an antenna in Jamaica, which is set to shrink even further by the end of the year. UNFPA have a multi-country office based in Jamaica. We're lucky. UNESCO have a multi-country office based in Jamaica. PAHO also cover the Caribbean from Jamaica. We have had some good news with UNEP opening an office here in Kingston, which is much welcome. But generally, we face a shrinking architecture to cover the region. So we needed to change the way we work so that we would be able to continue supporting partnerships that have now endured for more than 50 years. And we need to change what we will provide in terms of assistance, because we're not a donor. We have to accept this reality anymore. We need to focus on other means of supporting Jamaica's efforts. That will mean technical assistance, it will mean partnerships, it will mean networking, it will not mean cash. So we came up with the idea, and supported by the governments of 18 countries and territories across the English-speaking and Dutch-speaking Caribbean, of a single programming instrument called the UN Multi-Country Sustainable Development Framework.